Hi everybody, how are you? It's me, Tina Z. Your favorite gender, excuse me, non-compliant ukulelist and vocalist. And I am not vocal of singing, and I am not ukulele-ing right now. What I am doing is something that I like to call Tina Raps. And if you're seeing this, it means that I have done this deftly enough and skillfully enough to show it to you. Because what I'm rapping about this evening is religion. And I know it is a dangerous topic on which to rap. Yet I forge ahead anyway. And the only reason I do this is because recently, I had an encounter with someone on my YouTube channel. And let me preface this by saying that I have a YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, unless you're pre-approved, and unless I've already approved you as a safe person, I have all comments from strangers must be approved by me before I publish them, because there are a billion places online for mean people to say ugly things, and I decided that my YouTube space would not be one of those places. Thus, the trolls and the mean people leave me alone, and it was a very smart decision, because maybe 3 or 4 times a year I have to deal with someone saying something really ugly to me, and I just delete the comment. It never sees the light of day, and I feel a little bit good about that. It's about squashing these little naughty people. But what does that have to do with religion, Tina Z? Good question, thank you for asking. So the recent exchange that I had with someone was I'm assuming it was he by the username. He said, I forgot how he started it, but basically he said I had to change my sinful ways and follow the path of Jesus Christ. Okay, before I proceed, I want to be very clear about this. If you are religious, I don't care what your religion is, if you are religious and in your religion you find comfort and a sense of peace and spirituality and strength and positive things, and you don't use it ever to hurt anybody, I am 100% for that. And I would never, ever, ever, ever say anything negative about that. So, judging by the people who watch my YouTube channel, that is 99.9% of you. So, yet I forge ahead, even though this is for the one person who ruins it. So anyway, this person told me that I should change my ways and follow Jesus and blah, blah, blah. Like making this assumption that I don't follow Jesus somehow because of how I dress and how I behave and the songs I sing or whatever it is. He is making this giant assumption that I am not a follower of Jesus, which is a bad assumption to make. Oh, and henceforth, I'm not going to say Jesus and I'm not going to say God. I'm going to say Thor. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that, I actually mean it in a respectful way. Because I don't want to accidentally speak for a figure like Jesus or God. I don't want to put words in their mouth, and I want to be respectful of that. So now, from henceforth, it's Thor. So this person said, I better follow Thor, to change my ways and follow Thor. So I thought about that, and I have 3 problems. And then we went back and forth, and I shouldn't have engaged the troll. You don't feed trolls, but I did for some reason, and we went back and forth. And he said all kinds of things, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll get there. So, so there's 3 things about this interaction. Three topics pop to mind because of this interaction. Topic number one is narcissism. In Genesis, Thor's, actually it's plural, Thor's says that humans are created in Thor's image. Okay? So, which is to say that we are supposed to follow Thor and be like that, not the other way around. I have a feeling, though, that today many people have created Thor in their image rather than the other way around. And here's why I say that. So let's say that you're a follower of Thor. And as a follower of Thor, you probably have a good idea about his opinions, Thor's opinions on stuff. You know, and we can probably all agree on the big things. Thor doesn't like murder. Thor is against murder and stealing. You know, the big ones. But then there's a billion other things. Gun ownership, for example. What does Thor think about gun ownership? Well, if you have 10 people in a room, you might hear about 8 different answers about what Thor thinks about gun ownership, or abortion, or what does Thor think about, what's Thor's opinion about teachers going on strike during the school year for more money. Well, I don't want to say most, in many people's cases, you can go down this list of 100, 200, 500 opinions, current event opinions, and their Thor will agree with them 100% of the time. So that leads me to wonder, who created whom? If you believe Thor, if you and Thor agree about everything, I believe that you have your own Thor. And so does your neighbor, and so there. We talk about Thor as a singular, but in that, if you agree with this, then there are as many Thors as there are Thor believers. So that's problematic. That's narcissism, if you have created your Thor in your image rather than the other way around. And how do you test yourself? Well, you say, is there anything, is there any topic that I might have a different opinion than Thor Almighty above? Is there anything? There must be something. Unless you really want to think about, you want to think A about some topic, but then you believe Thor thinks B, and so you say to yourself, well, despite what I really believe, I'm going to side with Thor. That doesn't happen a lot. Because usually the person just goes, oh, you know what? No, Thor thinks like I do. Okay, so that's number one. Number two. Number two is, I don't know, what do I label this? The power of prayer. So this lovely person with whom I had this ugly exchange ended the conversation saying he would pray for me. Yay, thank you. And on its surface, saying I will pray for you sounds like a very wonderful thing, doesn't it? It does. Until you start thinking about it. So let's say this person's name is Chuckles. The person I had a fight with, Chuckles. Chuckles says, I'm going to pray for you, Tina Z. So what does that mean? Okay, well, what if Thor answers Chuckles' prayers to the T? Meaning everything that Chuckles prays for regarding me happens. Thor answers those prayers and that happens. What happens to me, Tina Z? Well, I imagine I wouldn't be doing this anymore. Because that was kind of the whole point of him engaging with me. So, what Chuckles is saying is, he's praying to Thor Almighty, saying, please use your power, Thor Almighty, to change another person the way I want that person to be changed. I should have just named this Narcissism Part 2. My goodness, if you think about that, it's dumbfounding. Because what would happen if Chuckles' prayer came true is that I would wake up suddenly and say, I'm done with gender expression other than I'm going to express myself exactly according to the bits I was born with. Does that make sense? Like I would be all manly. So if Chuckles prays to Thor and Thor answers those, I am different. I am changed. And how am I changed? Well, ultimately, now I'm just like Chuckles. Narcissism. When people say, I'm praying for you, and they ultimately mean, I'm wanting Thor to change you to be almost exactly like me, or exactly like me. I want you to behave like me, and think like me, and worship like me, and dress like me, and on and on. That's really what's going on. When they pray for you, when they say that, that's what they're saying. They want Thor to magically make me a different person. And I'm very happy with the person I am. So that would be a bad thing in my world. Okay. Number 3 is heaven. So I asked Chuckles why he would go out of his way, he would take time out of his obviously busy day and target little old me for his wrath, his comments. And he said, I paraphrase, but basically he said he was trying to save my soul. Wanted me to go to heaven. Oh, how nice. Gosh. What a lovely person Chuckles is. Until you think about it. Okay, so let's talk about heaven. Heaven is the... I'm going to be careful here. Heaven is kind of the product of religion. It's what they sell. It's what you're after. It's the ultimate thing. So let's pretend Chuckles dies before I do, and is whisked away to sit with Thor and worship Thor for eternity. Yay, Chuckles! Good for him. Okay. So let's say Thor decided not to answer Chuckles' prayers and I remained sinful me. And so I don't go to heaven. I go to hell or purgatory or whatever the case may be. Okay, so now Chuckles is in heaven. And me, his friend, Tina Z, didn't make it. Is Chuckles sad? Well, no, he's in heaven. Sadness doesn't exist. Heaven is bliss, eternal. Yes, that's what they sell. That's what the product is, and that's how they advertise it. It's bliss eternal. So, let's not even say Chuckles. Let's say that is my mama. My mama, thank goodness, is alive today. But eventually she will pass on from this mortal coil and reap her heavenly reward. Okay, so my mom's in heaven eventually someday, but I remain sinful me, TNC, and I don't make it. Okay, so my mom is the mother of 5 children. Okay, if I don't make it, my mom loves all 5 of us with every ounce of her being. So if she had her conscious as she does today, and she knew that I wasn't there, she would understand where I was alternatively. She knew, she would know. And that would break her heart. She would be devastated. Yet there's no space. There's no room for that in heaven. It's bliss eternal. So, what happens to my mother? Do I not exist? Is suddenly she the mother of 4 children? Or, knowing the 5 of us, 2 that made it, is she switched somehow that the 3 of us who went to hell don't exist, therefore she cannot experience the longing and the sadness of never seeing us again? Well, okay, let's say yeah. And so now she's the mom of 2 rather than 5. So, is she the same person? Well, no. Not in the least, because my mother kind of defines herself on being a great mom. And so you take that away, and then she's not herself. She's a different being. So it's hard to kind of reconcile that I want you to go to heaven thing for someone who believes that they will be there unquestionably, because so what? You're there and you're happy, and I don't exist, or something happens to me where I'm erased from your memory and our relationship didn't happen, and maybe I'm just vanished from existence altogether. Maybe that's what hell is. I don't know. But the idea that you want your loved ones to be in heaven with you, when you arrive there, that won't matter. It can't matter, because you can't be sad. You can't... I don't know if I've explained that correctly. But that's always bugged me on a logical level, this heaven thing. So, those are the 3. Did I do it without offending too many people? Did I talk about religion and not piss off everybody? Maybe? I don't know. I'm done talking though. That was Tina Raps. Ta-da! My one and only time I'm going to speak about religion. And by the way, if you're seeing this, if you're somehow seeing this, and you are a religious person, and you somehow believe that my gender expression is something that you need to poke your religious nose into, let me assure you that you don't need to do that. And I'm okay on my own. And you can, religion should be like your genitals. You can be proud of your genitals, but don't ever share them with someone else when they didn't ask for it. Okay? Thor be with you. Thanks for listening. Bye.